Bought myself a red balloon, got a blue surprise, 'cause hidden in that red balloon was a needle for my eyes. Took a love light from my eyes, and then to my surprise, got a blue surprise. Met his friends and you were so easy to get to know. Will we meet one another again? Oh my, I hope so. Made with toys for children, because a child I've got. Haven't any time for children, although I got a lot. Took a love light from my eyes, and then to my surprise, got a blue surprise. Met his friends and you were so easy to get to know. Will you meet one another again? Oh my, I hope so. Bought myself a red balloon, got a blue surprise, 'cause hidden in that red balloon was a needle for my eyes. Took a love light from my eyes, and then to my surprise, got a blue surprise, got a blue surprise, got a blue surprise. I don't know, everyone else here definitely knows it, apart from, I'm not sure the four there know it, but this is a Bailey wind chiner, which is what this is all about. This is more or less the prototype wind chiner. It was built before the name was coined. And I asked Mark, I was looking for a small-bodied acoustic with a cutaway, and when I first met this, it was 5 bits of wood with my name written in the back. And this is what came out. And he does some really fancy work, but my brief was as plain as you like. Don't want anything fancy on it. Don't want any inlays. Don't want any fancy purfling and that kind of thing, because I like plain things. He said staring at his wife. It's a thing of simple beauty. But yes, it's definitely developed a patina over the years. I've had it for about 7 years. Anyway, what I could say is, it's better there weren't more people here to tell this to. It's not only the best guitar I've got about 15, but this is the best one I've got. It's not only the best guitar I've got, it's probably the best guitar I've ever played. So anyway, that's... So...
I've got that on tape, Mark. I got it, it's recorded.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Bailey Workshop for guitarmaking.co.uk, the guitar making channel. Today we're going to be talking about to shield or not to shield, that is the question. So thanks to TV 1010 for that amazing question and pun. Pun supplied by TV 1010. Cheers for that. So yeah, I'm going to show you a couple of my favourite shielding items, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I don't like, and yeah, and then later on, so that won't take very long, and then later on I'm going to do got a couple of little featured students that I want to show you what they're building and that kind of thing from the forum. So yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're new here, then we've got our own guitar making academy going, and what I've done is I've been building guitars for over 20 something years. I've forgotten.
How old are you?
Oh, I don't know. So yeah, I've been doing it a long time, and I originally started working in a guitar making factory, and so I've taken those things that I learned and transferred them to really basic hand tools that you can do basically on your kitchen table, or well, you have to make sure that whoever's kitchen it is agrees, because it's a bit dusty. You're better off having a shed. But basically my point is you just need one bench and a load of hand tools. If you're not sure what tools to get, that's one of the things that often holds people back. There's a free list of essential tools and an ebook available. If you go to the site and join up as a free member, you can become a supporter. But what it's really about is our premium courses, where I've taken what seems like a really difficult process, building a guitar from start to finish, and broken it down into lots of basically 10 or 20 minute jobs. I always say if it takes longer than 20 minutes, there's probably an easier way to do it. So that's what the Guitar Making Academy is all about, at guitarmaking.co.uk. And if you want access to those premium courses, then you need to be a premium member. But that is what keeps us going. That's keeping me in baked beans and Carol in lentils. So yeah, we've got enough for one sock, and we're saving up for a pair. So we do appreciate all the help you can give us. It is keeping us going at the moment with the current situation. So this is not coronavirus to shield or not to shield. That's another pun supplied by TV 101011. Cheers, Tony. Other puns are available on the website. So head over there if that floats your boat. So yeah, we're going to talk about shielding, and to cut a very long story short, I'm going to show you what I use, which is this stuff, shielding conductive paint. And I get mine from those people there, what you can read. I call them Stu Mac, because I'm cool. Stu Mac. The cool kids call it Stu Mac. Now, if any of you know somewhere else where something like this would be available, please let me know, because it is a bit of a pain in the posterior ordering it all the way from America. It's heavy, so it's expensive, you know, to post. So we have to buy tiny little quantities. So I'm going to show you a cheaper option, which is, this is actually ducting tape, believe it or not, that I bought when we were putting some, well, can I show you the roof? Let's just tip the camera up. Show you the roof. When we were doing our roof, that's the ducting tape.
I'm insulating now.
And so it's just to fill the cracks. Now the important thing is it's conductive. So if you can find any kind of conductive tape will do, but it's not as good as the paint. You see, there is a chance that this stuff could come loose, you see, and then if it starts flapping about and it's anywhere near the pickups, then that's going to translate into a sound. You may have heard a crackly pickup, and it may or may not have been some loose shielding. So that can happen. That's why the paint's better. But there are times where the shielding tape is really good, and that is specifically for shielding the cover plates. So this is great.
We've got
And
some suggestions going on here. Do you want them?
yeah, brilliant suggestions in the comments. That's awesome. That's what we're here for. So this is just stuck on, and then you don't even have to wire the back of the pots together, you know, to create the earth. Because the pots are made of metal, they actually contact the shield. So you will find that there are always metal wires as well, but it just does add a bit of extra insurance. Connects all the back of the pots together through the shield. So that's quite clever. It is a quite clever way to use the tape rather than paint. It would probably go all over the place and melt the stuff and scrape off too easy. But inside the guitar, so a cavity like this, I would shield. And so the short answer to shield or not to shield, well, the answer would always be, well, if you've got the stuff, do it. Use what you've got. If you haven't got shielding paint, then don't worry about it too much. You can always come back and add it later. I'm going to actually splash some about in a minute and show you what it looks like. But the thing about this shielding paint, the main disadvantage is that some people think it doesn't work because you paint it, and then you have to wait 3 hours for it to dry properly, and then it doesn't really conduct very well. So you have to do another coat, and truly I've found that 3 coats is what's needed to get a good shield. So what we do is we paint the cavity with this stuff, and then we just connect it to earth. So there's different ways you can connect it to earth, and I'll show you a couple of those as well. Hopefully I won't waffle on too long and take too much of your time. So yeah, Carol's already got a question.
Right, well, you might. I imagine
Let's have it.
We're going to cover it, and there's lots of suggestions for different things that they've used, which maybe we'll come back to at the end. But TV 10101 says, how does the shielding work? How does it stop the interference?
Nobody knows. I don't know. Ask a physicist
Well, Dee,
what they say.
Dee says Faraday cage.
Where does the universe come from? So yeah, if you go back and watch my previous live stream about soldering and wiring, I was concentrating more on the technique of soldering and wiring, but I did mention a few things about shielding and wiring. Is that basically you've got 2 wires coming out of a guitar. Where's my guitar lead? Guitar lead. You've got 2 wires coming out of a guitar. Let's call them positive and negative, but because we're cool kids, we call them hot and earth. Hot and earth, baby. So the hot always goes to the tip. That being the tip, this would be the barrel, and that's the earth. So in a guitar cable, you'll always find that the tip wire goes down the center, and it is surrounded by the earth wire, you see. So this is actually a shielded cable, and this one's transparent so you can actually see it. So it works like a Faraday cage. So basically you're wrapping the signal in a Faraday cage, which blocks all external signals. So it only allows the signal through on the tip, and the barrel becomes, it is the negative wire, but it also is the earth, because we're cool, and it also blocks. This is where, if you wired your jack the wrong way round, then all you would hear is a load of noise. You would hear a very weak signal, but it would be very, very noisy, and you'd be hearing all the stuff that normally gets blocked out by the shield. So yeah, that's a good little tip. If your guitar works but it sounds really puny and really noisy, you've probably wired your jack the wrong way around. It's always the first thing I check. While we're on the subject of jacks, just look at this. If we paint this cavity with conductive paint, and then when we plug our jack in, it touches any of that paint, then you're going to create a short and you'll get no sound out of your guitar. So when we do paint a cavity, I'm always really careful not to paint the jack socket hole. So the jack socket hole will stay clean. And I have on occasion, I've had guitars come into the workshop where somebody's shielded it and they've painted this cavity, and it just catches on the jack when you plug it in, and it cuts out the sound, and you get either an intermittent fault or like a complete no signal from the guitar. So brilliant for that, brilliant question. Thank you again for you guys. We've got the best guitar making channel on YouTube.
There's a few comments to that. Rock and Roller 912 says shielding blocks RFI interference.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is electromagnetic interference or radio waves interference, and you would get those from, well, the radio, and also any kind of electrical device basically will be giving off some kind of electromagnetic interference. And so you're looking for EM shielding paint or electromagnetic shielding paint or RF shielding paint. Yeah, any other suggestions are welcome. I'm just going to talk about a couple that I hate, right? So one is the silver conductive paint, because it comes in such tiny portions and it's so expensive that it's just a waste of money. It costs too much, in my opinion. So that's why I highly recommend this stuff. So that's my opinion on the silver stuff that you might have come across. It comes in a tiny bottle, and it usually comes in like 2 gram bottles or something like that. Not my cup of tea. Of course, your opinion might vary. And another option that you might consider is using tin foil from the kitchen. Is something that you could do as a last resort. So if we painted our cavity here with PVA glue, and then we got some kitchen foil, then we could glue it in, and that would create a pretty good shield. And I'll show you how we test the shield as well while we're at it. So the disadvantage of kitchen foil is, again, what you'll probably find is you'll probably tear it as you're putting it in, and then you end up patching it up, and then it doesn't conduct between the 2 bits, and then you end up soldering bits and ends up with a few years down the line bits come flappy loose and causes problems, and I prefer not to do that. Again, it can be done. Occasionally I've used kitchen foil with double-sided tape on a flat surface like your cover plates or scratch plates. So brilliant, we've got a question.
We've got a few things, but so Eddie Cameron is a bit late, but he's here. He says, I've heard that twisting pop wires on single coils can reduce RF. Any thoughts?
Twisting?
Pickup wires, sorry, pickup wires. Twisting the pickup wires on a single coil can reduce RF. Any thoughts?
Yes, I think that's true. When we made our amplifiers, now I've just got to preface this with I am not a wiring expert. Like I say, to me it's all magic. Electricity is like wizardry. Nobody knows how it works, do they? All these electrons. Show me a picture of one. They can't, can they? Yeah, see, they're not real. I'm joking. So yes, but we did used to run an amp making course here in the workshop, and Barry Weiss, who is the UK valve amp guru specialist of the globe, planet, universe, he used to come to the workshop, and we used to build amps here, right here in the workshop. And yes, it was always important to twist the wires around each other, and somehow that managed to help with RF interference. So to be honest, it's not really done internally in guitars. It's more done on longer runs like amplifiers. The best advice I would give you with guitars is keep your wires shorter than 4 inches, because apparently, again, I'm not an expert on this, but I just know enough to get me by. Any wires longer than 4 inches will act as an aerial and start to pick up unwanted radio frequencies. So if you keep your wires shorter than 4 inches, then you're cutting out 99% of all those problems. So brilliant, great questions. You guys are awesome.
Got more?
By the way, if you found anything interesting or useful in this, then, and you're new here, then make sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any, because we do this every Wednesday and Saturday at 1 PM. So I'm here to answer your questions every Saturday and Wednesday, 1 PM, our time,
Right,
whatever that is.
Couple of things, right? Can I give you these questions?
Go on then.
Right, so somebody, I forgot now, I think it was Rock and Roller, but I'm not sure, it said, would aluminium primer work as conductive paint, conductive shielding paint, aluminium primer paint?
The short answer to that is I don't know, but I can tell you how to find out. So let's say we decided we found some tape or paint or whatever it is we want to use. Then what I would do is I would take a piece of it and I would test the conductivity. So I'm hoping somewhere I've got a multimeter handy. So yeah, on last live stream I did mention that you do not need a multimeter to make a guitar. You don't need shielding either, as I said earlier. But a multimeter is really handy, especially now because I can show it off and I can show you guys how to test your how to test the efficiency of your shield. Basically, if we put our meter on the continuity setting, so we want to beep when we touch the two things together. Right, so what we're looking for is a beep. I guess there's probably maybe a really fine coat of lacquer on there, which is just need to rub through. But as you can see, we was getting a beep. All right, so that would be okay to use in one piece. But if I had to join it, then what we need to do is test to see if the glue is conductive as well. So let's just rip that. And I'm going to stick one piece on top of the other piece, because sometimes you'll find you have to piece bits together. So I don't want to stick it to Roland's 400-year-old piece of walnut. So here's our jointed piece. So yes, this one works. I think my multimeter needs a new battery. But as you can see, I'm touching it on one piece and then on the other piece. I'm making sure that there's still a connection. If you don't get a beep, then you haven't got a good shield, I'm afraid. So that's how you would find out, and you could test any kind of paint that declares itself to be conductive, or even not. It's worth testing. If you do have any luck, please let us know in the forum, or in the comments below even, you can do that. We'll let you off. It's YouTube, innit? So yeah, comments. Let us know in the comments what you use for shielding, and that would be really handy. So give us a few examples then, Carol, if you can.
Okay, so right, can you say hello to Ian Jackson? I don't remember him being here on a Wednesday before.
Hi, Ian.
So Ian Jackson says he's been experimenting with graphite powder and gum arabic.
All right, yes, I've heard of making your own graphite paint, because basically this stuff that we buy from Stuart McDonald is basically, I think it's graphite based. So it's basically ground up bits of graphite in some kind of liquid carrier. When it evaporates, it leaves behind this kind of like graphite surface. So yeah, you can make your own conductive paint, and I'm sure there's YouTube videos available for that.
Yes, and
Maybe we'll do that one day.
Someone else, I'm trying to look back right at the beginning.
Please, if you have any luck doing that, let us know and leave links in the description. That'd be awesome.
Somebody, I think it was it was Grey Hart. Right, so Grey Hart, Mark.
Yeah.
He said that he's been trying powdered graphite with an acrylic base. A few people have said copper tape.
Copper tape, of course, yes.
Roland Ashdown's in the house. He's mentioned copper tape, as did somebody earlier on. People are talking about slug tape.
Yes, same stuff. Conductive tape. Yeah, actually, I was going the other way around, because I've got. I meant to mention copper tape. I couldn't lay my hands on it. Copper tape is ideal. Obviously, it's probably better than this. I was showing you this as a cheaper option to the copper tape. So yeah, copper tape is even better, but just check. Like I say, the adhesive also needs to be conductive as well. So just check that it is. But yeah, I was going the other way because I was looking at how to keep the slugs off my my vegetables and using my shielding for that's where all my copper tape is probably.
Right, Mark. So TV 101 says that he was told to make a solder join across different pieces of shielding tape.
Yes, so that is, if the adhesive isn't conductive, then you can connect it with solder. So you might see that on a vintage guitar if you do that. Again, it's not ideal if you're piecing it together and sticking it in. There's always that chance that it can come loose and start to create other problems.
Yeah, so Roland Ashdown says it's always worth putting a piece of solder under the joins of multiple sheets, but he's never had any problems with copper tape that he's bought from a well-known second-hand marketplace thing online. Eddie Cameron says, have we done the pie dish jokes yet? How many supermarket pie dishes for a Strat or a Les Paul cavity? Mike Johnson.
There'll be tiny little pies.
He's tuned in from the Isle of Man and he's saying for shielding you need a KN95 FPP2 mask. Arf, right? But
yeah.
Then, on a serious note, two serious questions here. One is about Ian Jackson.
Can I just stop you right there and just say that one of the main reasons that I use this is because it is safe. It's a water-based one, and if it wasn't safe, they wouldn't send it out. StewMac are very strict about the kind of stuff that they send out, but yeah, you should always be wearing health and safety gear. Go on.
Right, so I'm delighted that you're doing that. So Ian Jackson asked, would you use a silicone rubber or rubber seals to stop things touching?
Not personally, no, but I have seen heat shrink used, you know, like sometimes I'll put heat shrink over the tangs of the controls. It looks really smart and it adds an extra layer of neatness. I've got a pot here, look, you can, when you put your wires on, you can put heat shrink over your wire and then over your tang, and it looks really neat. But the trouble is, if you ever have to come and fix it, it's really hard to tell if the wire's broken under that heat shrink. And so you end up having to cut the heat shrink off to check, and it's a nightmare. So in the end, the short answer is no, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. With the exception of occasionally stuff is supplied with like a paper washer or something like that. But usually no. So I'm just going to start painting this cavity just to show you. It's just ordinary, just looks like black paint. It's quite thin. And I would normally do it after the guitar is sprayed, because I don't want lacquer to go on top of it. Because what I will do when this is dry, I will connect this paint to earth, you see. I'll run a wire to earth. Now if you're using a back plate like that, then it will connect. If you paint this part of it here, oops. As long as you paint this part, then it will connect itself to that.
It's a bit shiny.
Yeah. You see what I mean? But like I say, what I'm not going to be able to do today is paint this and then show you with the multimeter how brilliant it works. But you can just take my word for it. Now, there is a really interesting discussion on the forum about this, which is what's kicked it all off. As I said at the start, this was because our friend TV 101 was asking whether shielding was necessary or not. So that's what gave me the topic for today's discussion. So we all thank Tony for that. But yeah, everybody else is over there chipping in with their ideas. So don't think that this is the end of it today. What you can do is, if you want to know more about shielding, head over to the guitar making forum. So guitarmaking.co.uk. It's free to join, but if you want the premium courses, then you'll have to pay to become a premium member.
Can I tell you that Ralph Kappermeyer has joined us, Mark, and he says that
Cheers, Ralph.
He's able to find copper tape which has the conductive adhesives.
Brilliant.
That's what he uses.
Okay.
And Ian Jackson's come back and said that's what my graphite paint that he uses for artwork looks like.
Exactly, it's probably the same stuff. It might just be. I imagine if it's graphite paint, it's probably expensive. And I guess it just comes down to how much graphite is in there and what carrier are they using. There's only one way to find out, isn't there? Get yourself a multimeter and test. Now, what you might find is that it does take a few coats to build up. In this case, I always put 3 coats on, like I say. So 3 coats of this stuff creates a really nice shield. So you can see the advantage of this stuff, can't you? If this was copper tape, it would be a lot harder to get it to conform to all these odd shapes. You see, oops, this is a carved top guitar. It's a carved top guitar, and so all the pots have had to be fitted individually. They've all had to be fitted individually, which means that the rear cavity is a bit of an odd shape. So really there's only one solution for me, and that is this stuff. Now if anybody finds it available somewhere else or has better luck making their own than me, please let us know in the comments. But yeah, you can see how easy it is, just paint it on. It's weird, it goes kind of stringy when it dries, so you have to be careful. You don't end up with it all over your guitar. But I would recommend that you also paint around, all around in the shelf. And if this guitar was finished, I would have masked up a lot more careful than that. But because this is still just sanded, I can just sand off any paint that gets in the wrong place. So I'm not too worried.
Well, don't forget, Roland's watching.
Hey, Roland.
But there is obviously some debate about whose guitar it is.
Yeah, so we're still arguing over what we're going to make the neck out of.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
Any ideas in the comments? I think it's going to be some sort of laminate.
For shielding, back to shielding, Mark. Rock and Roller says lots of top players are sending their vintage guitars in to have shielding added. he's seen quite a few videos on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so why would you want shielding in the first place? If you just play at home, sitting in your bedroom, and you've never noticed any nasty noises, why bother? If it doesn't bother you, it's not a problem. You'd only do it if it's a problem. And really, it only tends to be a problem with, yes, it tends to be older vintage guitars with single coils, and people who play larger venues with great big amplifiers. Those people could definitely benefit from having their guitars shielded. What it does to the value of your vintage guitar, I wouldn't like to say. So I'm not really a guitar repair expert. I'm just a lowly guitar maker. So you might have to ask somebody else about that. But yeah, it's usually single coil pickups are a lot noisier. Obviously humbuckers, obviously it's built into the name, isn't it? Are a lot quieter noise wise. So there you go. There's our cavity painted up. And what I need to do now is leave that for 3 hours, believe it or not, and then give it another coat, and then another 3 hours, and then give it another coat. So yeah, it's an all-day job, which is why you might see that it was mentioned that we don't really do it on the standard course unless I'm asked. If somebody asks, then we always do it. But of course, they'll have to pay extra for the paint because it's expensive. So yeah, I think there endeth the main part of the lesson. We'll do some questions.
Okay, there's a few. So Greyheart in Virginia says, will we still have to use tape or paint if we use shielded wire?
Ah, well then what you would call it is, if you're selling your guitars, then you would call them double shielded. You see? You'll often find Les Pauls are painted cavities, and they're also in metal pots, and the wires are shielded as well. Now all pots are shielded. Let's have a look at this. So so this is what we would technically call double shielded, because the pot is actually a shield in itself. As you can see, it's a metal pot, and that's going to be earthed. So that is shielded, and then the cavity is going to be another conductive case, effectively. And so that is what I would call double shielded. And so yes, you can also shield all the wires as well, which basically just means using output wire on all of your wires. So so you've got your thin wire through the middle and your shielded wire around the outside, and you just earth everything. You'd only really go to that extent if you had a really problematic guitar. Like I say, keep your wires under 4 inches. It's not usually a problem, but it does. The most thing I think it depends on is it depends on where you play your guitar. So if you're playing in lots of different venues with fluorescent lights and notoriously noisy, then you probably want to get it shielded. Your call, what can I say? Do some research though before you do it on a really expensive vintage, Poshercaster.
Right, so you've got quite a few questions here. So Eddie Cameron says, what would you recommend about remote switch cavities, e.g. on a Les Paul? Would you shield those?
Yeah, you can shield those as well, yep. Also the pickup routes can also be shielded.
Well, that was another question I was going to ask you, because people said, do you need
the pickup routes, in fact, any cavity that contains any kind of electric can be shielded. Whether you need to bother or not, again, it's your call. Depends whether the noise is bothering you or not. If noise is really a problem for you, get some EMGs. Silence in the comments. That was the bush getting blown past.
Ian Jackson's...
Hang on though, because I haven't quite finished. But if you do do all your cavities, like your pickup cavities and that, then they do need to be connected to earth, otherwise it won't work. So what you can do is you can get a little eyelet, attach a black wire to it, and screw that to the shielded cavity, and then run that to earth. Usually put all the earths back to the same volume pot. So all your earths go back to the back of the same volume pot, and then you won't have any nasty earth loops or anything like that. So yeah. Okay.
So Ian Jackson says, would the mesh from a microwave be overkill?
Well, we should be building stadiums inside microwaves. Yeah, probably overkill, yeah. Well, it would work though, wouldn't it? And you might be onto something. Les Paul do like a can, don't they? It's like a big tin can, which with a lid on it, and it's a nightmare. You have to take the lid off and get inside it and all that. It's solid, but it doesn't need to be solid, does it? It could be a mesh. Faraday cage, it could be just a mesh. There you go. Send that off to Les Paul and see if they'll if they take that on. You could save half their metal, couldn't they? How much would that equate to? A lot of money. You heard it here first, folks.
Mark, follow up those. Do you need to shield under bridge and connecting parts?
Yeah, the bridge is always shielded. Well, I say always. I did mention a lot of this in the last. If you're really into soldering and wiring, you want to go and watch my last live stream where I focused on soldering and wiring. Talked a bit more about that. But the earth is going to be usually on most kind of standard passive guitars are going to be earthed. So there's an earth wire running from the bridge, which by the way contacts the strings, which you contact. So you are effectively part of the circuit on a passive guitar, which, as I mentioned on the last live stream, which is why the odd guitar player gets fried. So I'll just quickly, I've got to explain that again now. So yeah, you've got a positive and negative, haven't you? Like I said earlier. So if you imagine you go to different places around Europe and that, you've only got a positive and negative. If somebody plugs an amp in the wrong way, you know how you can turn the plugs round, then potentially you could have your positive and negative the wrong way round. Wouldn't be a problem until you touch the microphone, which is powered by a giant PA, thousands of watts running through it, and that would be plugged in the other way round. That was my compressor starting up. Don't panic, folks. I left my compressor on, didn't I? Dang. Still, did that make you jump? Made Carol jump. There is a way to avoid having an earth wire, and that is to use EMGs, or there are other circuits where you can use resistors and stuff. But yeah, it's sort of, I've always found it quite strange that most, like 99% of guitars, there's a wire to the bridge, which is earthed, which you touch. I mean, actually, it's a safety feature. Like if you look at my sockets up here, these are metal sockets, and there's an earth wire connecting to the metal part of the socket. And any metal appliance will have an earth wire connecting to the metal case. And it's actually a protection to stop you getting electrocuted, which works perfectly until you go to another country and plug your wires in back to front and you have a mismatch. That's when it becomes a problem. So yes, so what you'll find is most big bands, when they play, they'll obviously use a DI box, which isolates the guitar player from the PA. So those guys who've been electrocuted, I'm guessing were not using DI boxes. If you are playing large venues, you probably want to consider your own safety. I always recommend EMGs or a DI box.
It's 1:45, right? But still got another thing. So,
Yeah, well, we're done. I've just got a couple of...
I've got there's a couple more things that I have to say to you. So one is, Rock and Roll 912 said, how do you connect the ground wire? How does it connect to the shielding?
Right, I was going to show you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is one way to do it. This is the posh way to do it. I was mentioning these eyelets. So you can just solder your black wire onto the tang and then screw through the hole into the side of your cavity. I've got paint on my finger now. I won't do it, obviously. Let me show you maybe on the humbuckers. So yes, what we could do is screw that down, basically. Once this is painted black with the shielding paint, we basically screw that down. So these are little tangs that I bought from Maplin's or somewhere. And that's one way to attach it. Another way, that's the posh way. We used to use that in the factory that shall not be named to earth all of the pickup cavities on our single coil guitars. So that's quite a lot of black wires running through, you know, three black wires, 3 extra black wires. Yeah, so that's one way to do it. The cheapo way is all these cavities are mounted by using screws. So you just put the wire down the screw hole. A bare wire down the screw hole, and then when you screw it on, it contacts. It's a bit rough and ready, but it works perfectly. That's what you'll see most times. Or you can even just lay a bare metal wire down. You'll quite often see just I haven't got my snips or anything. You can just lay your bare wire down there.
You need to move your...
Just clamp it down with a cover plate. It's best if it goes down a hole. But yeah, you get the idea. And obviously, I prefer to use the posh things. So just get on Amazon or eBay or something and get a packet of these. They cost like next to nothing. And that's the posh way to do it. So you would solder your wire onto this part of it. And then just put a little screw through there. And that contacts onto the... You can't do it there because it would block the cover plate. So you have to do it on the side. Or maybe do it down here somewhere. That's what I was trying to show you earlier. Right, so...
Couple of things, Mark.
Couple of things.
Okay, so Adam Pinner says he's seen people putting fuses in before the earth. Is that a good idea?
Putting fuses in before the earth. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but there are circuits available to avoid putting the earth wire in. So maybe that's what it is you're talking about. Okay,
and Ralph Kappermeyer says that an eyelid screwed to the shield is the method he uses on motorbikes. All that rattling and vibration, it seems a good variant, and it should work for guitars too.
Yeah, well, that's what I do if I'm doing it. So yes, good call.
And last comment, well, there's one more after this. Russ says he used to love the buzz from Blackmore's guitar on the Live Purple albums.
Exactly. You know, maybe if you cut all the buzz out, maybe you're losing something else. Who knows? The best guitar sound to me is just a vintage guitar just plugged into a vintage amp, giving it welly. Actually, I'm talking rubbish. I play acoustic guitar. I'm quoting what people have said to me.
You used to play electric. And lastly, Eddie Cameron has come up with the most unusual...
Some news coming up.
Oh, then this is the last one. He's come up with the most unusual suggestion for shielding. Rodent mesh.
Rodent mesh. Well, if it's metal and if it conducts, then yeah, brilliant. Like I say, I've shown you how to test it, so you can rewind back if you're not sure and watch that. You need a multimeter to test that you get a beep. But right now, I'm going to tell you, oh, it's somebody's birthday. I don't think we're going to get into everybody's birthdays. Maybe we will, hey. If it's your birthday, let us know. But the reason I'm bringing this one up is because something special happened on Peter Soyanov's birthday. So congratulations, Peter. Let me just see if we can get him up. Where is he? There he is, Peter. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So Peter, he says, he sent me this yesterday, he put it on the forum. It said, today is my 37th birthday. I got to meet on the collection of guitars of my first client, a paid job. Phil, a British guitar player living near Zurich, has a collection of 40-something guitars. Did set up to 3 of them, barely scratching the surface of it. It feels awesome. Yeah! Congratulations, Peter. I know that feeling, yeah. I remember when I got my first proper job outside of the guitar factory, it was in Rob Williams's workshop, and Rob used to employ me to help him do his repairs, and we split whatever he got for the repair. We split it 60-40, and I can remember driving home from the workshop just filled with yeah, I'm a guitar maker, yeah, this is what I do. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. It's a great feeling, and there's living proof. There's me and Peter, and plenty of us doing it on the site. So if you're sitting out there in the grumps thinking that you ain't got the gear to do it, or you ain't got the space to do it, or whatever it is, I guarantee you there'll be a way around it. So yeah, head over to the forum. It's free to join. Whatever it is that's stopping you, let us know, and we'll be there to help you out. So also got an honorary mention. I can't leave today without mentioning Marcel. Marcel's been busy. So yeah, so if you are starting out, I want to show you this, because this will show you kind of like, you know, where it can lead to. Marcel has now made, he came on the course years and years and years ago, and he's came back and back, and he's signed up on the online course. Obviously, because of furlough and lockdown and all that, we can't run workshop courses at the moment, so we can only do our online stuff. But it is fantastic to know that it's working. The methods that I've created for you guys are working beyond my wildest beliefs and dreams, really. So yeah, if you're not sure and you don't believe me, you don't have to take my word from it. You can head to the forum and you can see what people are actually doing. And Marcel's been especially busy. I'm going to show you the first instrument you'll see is one of his more recent ones, which is a bass. And I just want to give a little shout out here to Aziz. So I had a comment on very recently on one of my recent videos from a young lad called Aziz, he wants to use my methods to make a bass, and he's hoping that they're going to work. And I've told him that, yeah, you can. So yeah, go for it, Aziz. Best of luck for you. Let us know how it goes. Keep us informed, because we all want to see what you're doing and what you come up with. So yeah, look at what Marcel did. And I taught him how to make a guitar, and he came back, and well, to be honest, I can't remember how many times he came, but he ended up making basses and guitars and stuff for all his friends and family. And so if that's what you're into, then watch this. It's only like a 1.5-minute film, but just fills you in on a couple of the details. What you'll have to do, Carol, is if you line up the film, and then you'll have to push me in, you know, you push me in over there. So hang on a second. So after the film, don't go away, because I'm going to tell you what's coming up on the website. So
I'm pushing you in.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you we've got some really exciting stuff coming up.
Right.
So stick around till after we've watched this film.
Can't see you over there.
Some of Marcel's work. No, you won't. You'll see it on your screen. You won't see it over there.
No.
Wrong one. Here we go. So there's a lovely bass based on a popular design.
Tell me if you want to pause it.
Nice flame maple top there and tortoise shell. And that's older and a maple back, and it's a bolt-on design. See, he's recessed the neck anchor washers there. That's a nice little touch. Older body with a flame maple top. So a beauty. Tortoise shell scratch plate. Just kept it simple, but used good quality parts and hardware. Oh, you might have got some of them from us, Marcel. I hope so. Came out all right, didn't it? So that's what Marcel started with. And yeah, we don't mess about with kits and stuff. I may well assemble a kit at some point. Apparently it's good clickbait. So at some point for YouTube views, I may well assemble a kit. But it doesn't really float my boat. What I'm really interested in is building guitars completely from scratch. So I'll talk about a bit more in a minute about that. But that's what Marcel started with. And there he is here.
That's his very first one.
In sunny Colroy, where we live, outside the workshop. And Marcel actually was so inspired that he wrote to his a Dutch guitar magazine. So he came all the way from Holland, built a guitar, went back, became a superstar. And so he wrote this article for the Dutch guitar magazine. And
look at the state of you.
Yeah, look at the state of me back in my smoking days, eh?
State of me. No.
Back when I was a dirty smoker.
Look, when he came back.
Oh,
this
look
is
how
when he
young
made his
we
bass.
look. Look how young we all look. And you can see how you can make a bass any shape you like, really. And what's important is that all the bits are in the right place. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute.
And do you remember the two guys there were Spanish and they didn't really speak any English? But guitar making is a universal language.
Those two guys were the guys who worked in the customs, weren't they?
In the Canary Islands, and
Yeah, they were customs officers in the Canary Islands.
But they barely spoke English, and you.
Yeah, we managed to get
didn't
through
speak
it.
Any.
Ferrera la linea.
Because it's
Stay outside the line. That's all we need to say. And dove la cerveza. Ue la beer. That's us. We actually went to Holland.
We went to Veenendaal. This is Veenendaal Guitar Exhibition.
And we did a guitar exhibition.
And
So if you're wondering why we do get quite a lot of visitors to the forum and a lot of comments, and a lot of our students are from Holland, it's all Marcel's fault. So thanks for that, Marcel. And there's one of his trademarks. He likes to have the fancy shapes and a beautiful piece of flame on the front again there.
But remember, he's a home builder.
Yeah, so all completely built at home, as Carol's just reminded me, using our basic methods. So you don't need a huge amount of fancy tools, as I say.
Got a shed.
If you're not sure what you need, head over to the site, and you can get the thing. If you sign up for free, you'll get the list of essential tools. It's probably not as many as you think. And if you just put the word out there that you need tools, you'll be amazed how many people have got tools that they're not using. So you just saw a selection of guitars. Marcel, we've lost count of how many he's made now. And he's actually got himself a little cottage industry going from his shed now. Calls himself MB Guitars. So yeah, check him out if you want to support our Marcel. But remember, he started here, as did quite a lot of others. Yeah, so thanks, Marcel, for...
He's the ambassador to the Netherlands.
He's our Dutch ambassador. Massive thanks. So, finally, I'm going to tell you what's coming up next.
Hold on.
So, look at that, beautiful. So what is coming up next? We're going to do a 3-3-5. We're going to do a finishing course, and One of the most common things I'm getting asked is, well, I always get asked is how to make a new neck for my guitar. So people have got a guitar they like, but they hate the neck. Or they've broken the neck, but they want to make a new neck for their guitar. So that's one coming up. And how to make a new body for my guitar. So some people have got a really nice neck that they like, that they haven't broken, but maybe they've broken the body or they hate the body shape. They want to make a different body shape for a neck that they really like. So I'm going to show you both those things. Both those things will be coming up in the next few weeks and months. Some of them are going to take longer than others. So if any of that is what floats your boat, make sure to like, subscribe, click the bell icon, set a reminder when we do a live thing, leave a comment. What else can you do? Sing a song, write us a theme tune. I need a new one. The last one was a bit aggressive.
What was it? You were uncle.
Somebody said
You were like an uncle.
when your drunk uncle starts to sing at Christmas or something. Yeah. Carol was like, "No, put the guitar down. Put the guitar down, Mark. You can't take it back." So anyway, yeah, I'm either gonna reinstall the Workshop Wednesday theme, or you guys have got to come up with something to save us. All right, so yeah, theme tunes. Write us a theme tune or something. Yep, and with that, of course, the most important thing. What is it? Yeah, check twice, cut once. Cheers, folks. Especially if you stay to the end. Rock and roll.